So the third step in examination of the patient neurologically, we start with general neurological examination, then cranial nerve examination, now motor system examination. Motor system examination starting by examining the muscles, looking for the bulk of the muscles, if there is any wasting, atrophy, hypertrophy, fasciculation, any abnormal posture or abnormal movement or even deformity. Then you have to palpate for muscle tenderness and examine for tone. In an examination with the tone, patient إذا عنده normal tone, hypertonia, hypotonia, spasticity, rigidity, and so on. Examination of the tone is very important by movement of the hand, for example, or legs, lower limbs, for example. وراح نشوف إذا أكو عنده rigidity أو normal tone. طبعا هنا many types of rigidity, many types of hypertonia. مثلا بالupper motor neuron lesion the patient عنده stroke ممكن نشوف عنده spasticity أو rigidity. ممكن نشوف lead pipe rigidity, ممكن cog wheel rigidity, ممكن flask shape knife rigidity. We have many types of rigidity during examination of the tone of the patient by passive movement of the مثلا upper limbs or lower limbs. Then after examination of and inspection of the muscles, examination of the tone, then you have to examine the power of the muscles is very important. You have to know the strength of the muscle. For example, the deltoid muscle مثلا خليها in action, biceps muscle in action, triceps muscle in action, finger abduction, hip flexion, extension, abduction, knee extension, flexion, ankle dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, and toe dorsiflexion. فكل هاي المسلز تخليها in action ونفحص الباور. والباور ممكن نشوفها normal power يعني grade 5، ممكن لا عنده weakness، أو ممكن 0 إذا كان paralyzed في grade 0. So you have to grade the power of the muscles from 0 to 5. To determine, after we know the grade of the power, you have to determine the distribution of the weakness. هسه احنا بدنا نفحص الباور، فأهم شيء يشوف the grading of the power بعدين ال weakness. Is it proximal muscle weakness? Is it distal proximal? Is it distal muscle weakness? Is it pyramidal or even segmental muscle weakness? Then, after inspection, tone, power, then you have to examine for the reflexes. The following reflexes should be examined. You have to examine for the supinator reflexes using then we have to do the biceps, triceps, ankle, and knee reflexes by using a hammer and examination of the reflexes. It's very easy. It needs demonstration, especially in the ward. Then other reflexes غير supinator, biceps, triceps, knee والankle, upper limbs and lower limbs, you have to look for the abdominal and plantar reflexes and not to forget the releasing reflexes. فأيضا نسوي abdominal reflexes by scratching on the abdomen, and plantar reflexes هو بابينسكي reflex. بابينسكي نشوف عنده up going to or down going to أو مرات حتى equivocal. فإذا عنده up going to معناه عنده upper motor neuron lesion. plantar reflexes. primitive reflexes أو releasing reflexes أيضا نسويها مرات، خاصة إذا patient elderly أو عنده dementia أو Alzheimer أو frontal lobe lesion، فراح نشوف primitive reflexes اللي هي grasp reflex، palmamental reflex، snout reflex، glabellar reflex، and sucking reflex. نسميها primitive reflexes. نشوفها كمان بالأطفال وتصير أيضا بالelderly, especially in those with frontal lobe lesion, dementia, Alzheimer, and even in Parkinson's disease. You have to examine for the releasing or primitive reflexes. Almost always you have to compare. من نسوي reflexes you have to compare between مثلا left and right, and you have to know that the patient have haireflexia, hyporeflexia أو exaggerated reflexes. مثلا areflexia إذا عنده مثلا lower motor neuron lesion، أو hyporeflexia، أو عنده exaggerated reflexes بالupper motor neuron lesion، وبابنسكي أيضا positive مثلا. you have to look for the inverted reflexes, releasing reflexes in adult, or there is asymmetry of the reflexes. It's very important. فإذا examination of the reflexes is important in examination of the motor system of the patient. إذا motor system هو inspection of the muscles, examination for the tone, examination for the power, and examination for the reflexes. Then the sensory system examination, starting by examining the superficial sensation and deep sensation. Superficial sensation and sensory modalities composed of pinprick sensation, the touch sensation, the temperature sensation. والdeep sensation هو sense of position and sense of vibration. فإذا we have many modalities for sensory examination. You have to pinprick, touch, vibration, position, temperature, 2-point discrimination أيضا, sensory extinction, and graphthesia. Then after you test the sensation, you have to decide the pattern of sensory loss. مثلا بالdiabetic patients راح نشوف gloves and stock disappearance of sensation, يعني numbness or paresthesia usually in stock and gloves pattern. You may have a segmental sensory loss, أو إذا patient عنده مثلا spinal cord lesion ممكن نشوف عنده أيضا sensory level. If any abnormal sensory phenomena, إذا احنا أول شيء فحصنا sensation، نشوف إذا عنده pattern of sensation gloves and stocks أو عنده sensory level. وبعدين if any abnormal sensory phenomena مثل dissociated sensory loss أو عنده sacral sparring, especially in certain diseases. Then finally, after we finish examination, the general neurological cranial nerve examination, sensory system, motor system, and then cerebellar system examination. Cerebellar system examination. Cerebellar system examination is important. Examining the coordination of half of the limbs by doing the finger nose test. He tried to touch his nose by his finger repeatedly, or heel shin test. أيضا نشوفه in the word نسويه should be done. Then you have to examine for dysdiadokinesia, repetitive movement, repetitive or alternating movement اللي هو dysdiadokinesia, the past pointing, the intention tremor. دائما أهل السيربيلر lesions عندهم intention tremor during action, axial arrested tremor اللي نشوفه بباركنسون disease. هنا intention tremor. وعندهم أيضا dysynergia. إذا البيشنتس اللي عنده cerebellar lesion راح نشوف عنده incoordination, difficult to do finger nose test, difficult to do heel shin test, difficult to do dysdiadokinesia. نشوف عنده intention tremor مثل ما شفنا بالبداية حكينا على speech disorder. يصير عندهم أيضا speech disorder, scanning speech أو staccato speech. Examining for the truncal ataxia, هنا نشوف أيضا by observing the stance truncal ataxia. نوقف المريض وبالاستعداد رجليه مطبوقة وإيديه واقف ونشوف ونخلي closer the eye. He should close his eyes ونشوف إذا عنده truncal ataxia يسموه رومبرغ sign يقول positive، يعني he sway from side to side أو يوقع بالقاع. Examine for truncal ataxia. طبعا truncal ataxia أو sensory ataxia نشوفه positive خاصة in patient with tabes dorsalis، دول اللي عندهم syphilis مثلا. أو truncal he tried to sway يعني يترنح الجهة اليمين أو اليسار إذا كان عنده فترة cerebellar lesion. إذا هنا مهم جدا to examine for the Romberg or Rombergism. Then you have to examine the gait of the patient. We have many types of gait مثل ما حكينا قبل فترة. One of the abnormal gait اللي نشوفها بالcerebellar lesion هو ataxic gait أو drunken gait. And you have to do a tandem gait يمشي على شكل خطوات أو على خط يعني كاشي مثلا، ويشوف البيشنت إذا عنده ataxic gait أو he has a normal gait. Now we finish examination of the patient neurologically. Thank you very much.